zoom it in a bit more?
No, that's... Okay, fine. I think it zoomed it out. Yeah, that's good.
Alright, there we go.
Welcome, YouTube. It is your boy Dave with Tim.
Yeah.
And we're going to be playing some Halo 2 co-op campaign. Feels like it's been fucking eons since we've done any sort of Let's Play.
Okay, who am I?
But yeah, wait, if you...
I'm also you,
By God.
Master Chief and Master Chief.
Double Chief.
How's it going, Malta? Stand by. They're latched.
Yeah, definitively this is always my least favorite gun.
They're in standard formation.
It's everyone's least favorite gun.
Because nobody, like, there's probably like
Also,
one...
hold on. Let's fix this. No, we can't change it to,
What?
I was hoping we'd change the split screen to, like, horizontal.
No, I think it is just vertical.
Oh, well.
Feel the fire on that bulkhead.
I guess if it's a shooter, it makes more sense just to have it like this, since really if you had it the other way, it would be a little strange.
But how?
Yeah, I guess it depends. God. I wonder how like the next Halo game's gonna be, to be honest.
Well, it's, infinite, isn't it?
Yeah, I know it's gonna be infinite, but I'm saying I wonder how it's gonna be.
Oh. It'll probably be
I wouldn't doubt it.
It was still being made by 343, right?
I have no fucking idea. Probably. And I think they're the ones responsible for all the new Halo games.
Freaking new Halo.
It's weird. They're like using shit from the books, even though I think the books are weird. They really are. But then again, like, when hasn't a video game book been fucking weird, to be honest?
That's a good point, yeah.
Like, you know Doom has, like, a book, right?
No one fucking read that shit.
Yeah, no one does, and it's weird. It has, like, Mormonism.
Okay, weird.
It's a whole can of fucking worms. Like, apparently in the books, the demons aren't demons at all. They're aliens.
I mean, I guess I could see that, but why would they only be aliens?
I don't know.
Kind of removes the fun.
The whole thing about the books is, like, I think I think literally no one considers them canon. I think the only thing that they reference about the books, I think, are maybe one of the characters' names. Or, like, what was supposed to be the canon name of Doom Guy, but I don't think anyone wants it to be, because it's really fucking lame.
Is it like Taggart or something?
Yeah, it's like Finn something Taggart or something like that, yeah.
I think that's referenced sometimes.
Yeah, it's I think it's referenced in like as a book in Doom Eternal.
I forget how you do the melee and is there melee in this one?
Yeah, it's B.
B. Right.
I know, I think you're probably more used to the meleeing style and fucking whatchamacallit.
Yeah.
I could say I like Reach, but I'll always think OST or is it OST?
ODST.
ODST is just better in terms of its firefight mode.
Yeah, it was pretty nice. I do miss the red gun.
Oh, wasn't it called like the Scarab gun or something like that?
No, I think it was like maybe actually, I don't remember.
Because I'm thinking of that one, or no, I'm thinking in Halo 2, in one of the levels where you're flying around, you could find a gun that shoots, like, tank rounds, which sounds like some shit you'd see, like, some playground type shit where it'd be like, oh yeah, if you go to this secret area, you can get this secret gun. But no, it's real.
The super gun.
God. Shit, dinky fucking gun.
It was the elite I was gonna shoot. Oh.
God, I remember still playing, like, people playing this online. Like, back when Xbox Live was still, like, natively supported.
Hey,
Wait, what do you remember?
the Malta's already
Like,
opened up the
people playing this, like, all the time, like, natively.
Malta, what
is your status? Over.
Yeah.
Before, yeah, you'd have to use something like Excellent Kai to get it to work.
They're retreating. We won.
God damn it. It's weird for me to think like how people's mindsets were when this game was being made.
In what way?
Like it was just basically like a whole different like
This is bad.
development situation with like games.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, you look at how games are built now, like, this game probably took, I remember hearing this game they were gonna do so much more with it, but they were in, like, a time crunch, actually.
Isn't it weird how it seems like some of the most memorable games are made after full time crunch?
I mean, usually that's just because so many, like, random ideas kind of hit the ceiling, because if a game is, like, if it has plenty of time to be made, usually they're not going to experiment with that. Like, look at most games that are given, like, these massive time scales. Like, usually, they might throw a weird idea here and there, but they're never going to do, like, really weird shit that may fuck up the series. You know? Look at Call of Duty. Most of those games go out by, like, a yearly release schedule.
So in other words, because it's such a safe amount of time, they're not really forced to let experimental things stay in.
Yeah, yeah.
Where am I?
I mean, look at, like, that game you like, what is it, Crash Twinsanity?
Yeah.
But yeah, man, like, game development back then must have been a real trip to look at.
I do think smaller teams are ultimately better for the product.
Well, I mean, I would say, effectively, like, well, you know what's kind of weird to think about?
Yeah.
An indie team now would essentially be making games like this. But I think a lot of them are still way too small.
I mean, not too small. I think, like I said, like, AA is probably a good range.
Well, AA, yeah, but, like, because when we think about games like this, at least, you know, those are supposed to be, like, the AAA game, but now, yeah, these are, like, bargain bin at this point. Like, you can find, like, a standard copy of Halo 2 for cheap. Then again, that's because it was, like, hyped at the time.
That explosion came
Yeah, it had a
from
pretty
inside
big
the Atlas.
effect on the
Same as
gaming
Vault,
industry.
the Covenant
And that, and it was, at the time, people were like, oh, yeah. You know? I still fucking remember when Halo 3 was coming out. That was fucking crazy, like on G4 and shit.
Yeah, I remember back then.
Yeah, like when those games were coming out and people were talking like, oh yeah, it's gonna be great. I still remember that because my dad owns like a base copy of that game with like all the crazy shit it came with. Swear to God, that man owns like the game like 3 times. Like a launch version, a version that came with a few extra things, and then like one that came with like DLC. I remember like Halo 1 and 2, or 2 and 3 will always be my favorites. One I like for multiplayer, but 2 and 3 are just masterpieces.
I haven't played through 1 and 2 enough to give them like a definitive statement on them, but I think they're pretty cool also. I'll probably have the most nostalgia for like 3 and Reach because I grew up with those ones instead, but like they're pretty good also.
Like Reach, I remember always hearing about it, and the only time I've ever actually played it was at your place, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like, my dad owned it, but usually I'd always gravitate more towards, like, 3 or ODST. I think Reach was, like, the last real, Halo, right?
Yeah, it was the last one Bungie did before they left the series.
So then it was the last real Halo, because, like, the 343 one's, like, 4's fine.
It's adequate.
It's
they could have done a lot
standard.
better, but you know it's not a terrible game, I guess.
And then Halo 5 Guardians, I think that one shit the bed. And then was there a 6? I feel like there was a 6.
I don't think there's 6. I think there's only 5.
Okay, I remember 5 being a shit fest. For a number of reasons, a lot of them relating back to like microtransactions and shit.
I'll go with you.
You think we'll ever get shit like this again?
What?
Like just games that are just fun. You know.
Maybe, but it won't be from the AAA people anymore.
Oh no, most certainly. I mean,
maybe from like foreign studios. Out of country studios are probably still gonna make good stuff.
Well, I mean, I can tell you that. I mean, look at the guys that made like what is that game? Like Dead Island and shit. You know, that company. They're doing good for themselves. They're making another game, another zombie game. What is that called? Dying Light 2. That looks pretty fun. So yeah, maybe I wouldn't doubt a lot. Like anybody that isn't in America developing games are probably gonna be doing some good shit.
Yeah.
Just kind of sucks though, because it's just like.
I think the worst part about indie games is like literally everyone wants to be Undertale now. It's like
everybody.
Everyone wants to make like a weird like meta story bullshit.
Everybody has been wanting to do that since day one with games like that, though. To be honest, like. It's just Toby Fox got lucky, right? Like, he was in the right place at the right time, making the right kind of game. Because, to be honest...
Hot take, Undertale is just fandom bait the whole time.
I mean, you could have... I mean, in a way, yeah. I mean, shit. Some of the newer versions have characters that were essentially made purely just because... They were just like, yeah...
And, like, I know I'm not the first person to say that. If you get that reference, then, cool. But...
Chief, we don't have much time.
I do agree with that opinion, or that sentiment, that it was basically like, because you can kind of tell, it's like, hey, look, we're characters, we're quirky, it's like that shit.
That's essentially most indie games, to be honest. At this point, you could play a bunch of indie games and put nearly all of them on some sort of flowchart, right? Oh, it's a cutesy game. Oh, but guess what? We make it so it's like the game kind of devolves and then kind of turns all dark and edgy.
Quote-unquote horror game.
Yeah, like there's, Five Nights at Freddy's, Tattletale, Hello Neighbor. There's so many games like that at this point.
Yeah.
It's an oversaturated market. Like, shit, even boomer shooters, games that are like boomer shooters, there's like the market's kind of saturated with them. Like, really, I'm kind of surprised by. There's barely, if any, real companies trying to make like point and clicks.
Well, yeah, Telltale was ironically the last few people that were making them now, or were, but they're dead pretty much. So.
Well, yeah,
well, not dead, but like.
I think they are dead because I think
they're like on emergency life support.
Yeah, because didn't like fake. I could have sworn these guys are retarded, but I could have sworn like the bootleg version of what the hell is that? Atari bought them or something like that.
Essentially, it's like a few remnants that worked on the Walking Dead games, and then the people who worked on the Sam & Max games went to make Skunk Ape.
Did that even survive, or that fucking collapse also?
I don't know what they're doing after the first remaster. I'm hoping they do Season 2, but I feel like it's either because there's a lot of shit with Season 2 that you probably couldn't get away with nowadays, so I don't know if they're just gonna completely mutilate it or what.
I wouldn't doubt
If they don't mess up Season 2, I'll get the first remaster with it, because I bought, 1 and 2 together when I first got them. But otherwise, I'm probably going to just use the old ones.
At this point with me, because I'm like an old man at this point, right, when it comes to gaming.
Hmm?
Like, I've survived for long enough to see, what is it, PS1 to 5, and it's at this point, the market's kind of boring right now. We're in sort of an area where 90% of the games coming out all just kind of feel like gray, right? Not like brown, not like how it was before where it was a hue problem. No, nowadays a lot of games just feel boring, story-wise, everything's trying to be all mopey,
Yeah, it's... You know what annoys me the most about, modern, postmodern nihilism as of late in, everything is, everyone always comes off like Rick and Morty-ish, where it's I'm a genius and I know what I'm talking about, but when you really look deeper in it, it's just stop whining, go fucking do something to solve your problem. Stop crying.
I remember there's a saying, I remember skimming through that anarchist cookbook, and it's nihilism is just childish whining for adult problems or something like that.
Actually that's really apt. It is.
Because it's like the whole first part of that book is talking about like nihilism and anarchism, and then it just says that right after. I'm like, what? Okay. But yeah, a lot of games now, I'm just like, I don't really want to play someone's really weird art project. I just want to play, something fun, Like, I don't know, maybe I am just as the kids would put it, just a salty old man staring at, like, what's new and being like, I don't like this. Then again, there hasn't been a car combat game made by fucking anyone since God knows when.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Car combat would be nice to see more of. That's probably one of the bigger things. It's like indie devs. What are the more memorable indie games? They're the ones that like scoop up genres that have been abandoned.
That's the thing though. Like, the biggest issue with indie games is they trend. A lot of indie devs, they follow trends, right? Like I don't see any sort of indie dev actively trying to do like a space sim, or like some really deep cut style of game. Like, I don't see any like dev really working on like a hunting game or making a fishing game, Like, everything has to feel like a sort of RPG, or everything has to be sort of like a love letter to fucking like Earthbound. Like, I get it. It's a great game. But,
yeah, I'm not a fan of like.
But why does everything have to be Earthbound?
That's also quite annoying. Well, it's because Undertale tried to be Earthbound, and now everything has to be
even
Undertale.
still, I feel like even before like even before that, like there was stuff that was still trying to be Earthbound before then. Like, I feel like that sort of is one of the reasons why it's like either there's two things now, right? Every indie game has to have like a pixel art style, and I get it. Like, real talk.
Pixels are easy.
Yeah, real talk. It's just because it's more affordable to make, and it's because you can make a lot of shit easily. Cause really, I would like devs are getting a little bit more smart with how they're like building shit. Like, we're seeing shit like Herat, which I thought was fucking cool. You know what that is, right?
I forget.
It's essentially like somebody tried building their own Quake, but with like a more like communist Russian aesthetic.
Interesting.
It's a cool concept for a game.
Do you get to kill the communists?
I'm not sure. You mostly just kill like weird shit, like a giraffe.
What the hell is up with this thing?
But yeah, I'd say indie devs are like, as long as they try doing new things, I feel like the indie market will be at least still interesting to look at. But I really hate like looking at RPGs now, to be honest.
Yeah, a lot of stuff is like.
Like, I hate when it
like,
looks like a mouthful of a title, so it'll be like Legends of Guardian Wings 7 or something like that. And it'll just be this massive title with a Roman numeral.
I think the thing that a lot of people who make like their own RPGs now don't understand is like the world of an RPG is only as good as the role-playing mechanics and the writer that writes it. That's literally it. If you don't have those two things in an RPG, then what do you have? Like, you might have some okay gameplay, but it's like the RPGs, like, unless it's like Dark Souls or something, usually it's not like the main highlight.
What, gameplay?
Yeah, like typically.
When you say it like that, that kind of makes me think like why I'm not a big fan of RPGs in the long sense.
There are a lot of them, yeah.
Like, if you subtract the story, they effectively have very little in terms of gameplay. Because really, that's my biggest issue with those kinds of games, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I can enjoy like the gameplay as well, but it's
I can enjoy them, but I just don't have the time nor patience for them.
It's more the appeal of like trying different strategies for the same sorts of problems or different ones. That's if you like that sort of thing, then you'll enjoy RPGs with strategy. But if not, then probably not.
Yeah.
Like if your gameplay's more emotion based, or like attack and shit, then you might not.
For what purpose, Master Chief?
To give the Covenant back their bomb.
I mean, I'm sure there are a good amount of like examples where I'm patently wrong, where it's like, hey, this is an RPG with great gameplay, but throughout like all of gaming, the vast majority are still probably ones that are not. I don't consider RPG light like
I know
actual
what you're
RPG
thinking,
where it's just
and
like,
it's crazy.
So,
alright, you can get a
stay
perk.
here.
Okay, there you go, RPG.
For us both,
I don't consider that
I like.
like an RPG.
You're thinking of something akin to like what, like Fallout 2?
Yeah, like your character choices should impact how you do things in the world, not just, you know, maybe a stats.
I never. Okay, hot take. For me, I rather would play something that has more player freedom, because for as much as you say like, oh yeah, Fallout 2 is like, you know, all this,
One question.
it's just purely the aesthetic and the fact that the game essentially takes your free will and throws it out because you have to play with dice roll mechanics.
I wouldn't say... I don't think it does throw your freedom out. That's not throwing the freedom out. It's just a bad gameplay mechanic. Fallout 2 and Fallout 1 and 2 have, like, probably some of the most choices you can make in a game.
Gotta imagine if there are some hardcore Fallout fans who'd be like, hey, your friend doesn't know shit, faggot.
Ooh. Careful, you might have to cut that one out.
Because that's just how it is, because I know. Like, because at this point, there's like at least 3, like, separate factions within the Fallout community. You know, there's like the old heads that played like 1 through Fallout Tactics. They're
It's funny. It's literally the Enclave, the Brotherhood, the NCR.
effectively.
Enclave, no mutants allowed. Brotherhood, 3 New Vegas fans. NCR, Fallout 4 and 76 fans, mainly because they have the most numbers.
Yeah.
But they suck.
I mean, I could have told you that one there, Chief. I mean, like, here's the thing, right? Fallout 1 and 2, for me, I can never play those games because of the way that they're built.
It's a strategy game.
It's more of a strategy game than it is an actual RPG.
Well, it's like a strategy RPG.
It's one of those games where it's like, you can play Civ. I know damn well you love your Civ. And for me, it's like, I'm sorry, but those games are just slogs.
Yeah, they do take a bit of time.
Like, I just can't get... Like, I have the attention span of a gnat. I can't... If the game isn't just get to the fucking point, then I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm out.
Well, you know, that's fine. That's just your taste.
Yeah, like, look, if the story is entertaining and the game's just, you know, flowing, alright, fine. But if it's just, here's a boatload of text, it's like, what the hell is this? I might as well just read a fucking
Well,
Wikipedia
there's not
entry.
really any of that in, like, Fallout 1 or 2. You know, you gotta look for that sort of thing if you want to.
I don't know, it's just the mechanics of that game kind of put me off, you know?
Yeah.
Like I've said before, and I'll say...
Again, it's got D&D, like, roles. That's really the main thing.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of one of the reasons why I'd probably just avoid most, if not all, of those really old curmudgeon, like, RPGs that were on fucking DOS. Outside of just Fallout, like the Ultima series.
I've considered trying the Ultima series. I wanted to look into it.
Like, any of those really old RPGs, I was like, yeah, no, like... When we start to get to, like, the later point in which, you know, there starts to be more like, visual shit, then I'll start to play them. But if it's just, like, pure text, like how it was with, like, some of the really early shit, I'm like, yeah, no, I'm out.
Yeah, like, I wouldn't go back and play the original Wasteland. I tried that, and it's just like, I can't play this. This is... Because it's like, you got a Legend of Zelda-ass map, but no enemies until, like, you know, you do the... Like, battles I'm pretty sure are text-based, I think.
Yeah, it's like a wall of text. I can see, honestly, if I lived in the 80s, I probably would be a Final Fantasy fan.
Yeah, like, at the time, I'm sure they were greatly entertaining, but
because comparative to, like, let's say, like, Fallout, it's just Fallout feels much more like... You have to at least have played D&D somewhat to understand some of the mechanics.
Like, imagine, like, the way that you're going from, like, 3 in New Vegas to, like, 1 and 2, the way you feel, is the way I feel going from, like, 1 and 2 to Wasteland.
Oh, God. Yeah, exactly, because it's just like, what the fuck is any of this? And for you, it's like, oh, yes, this makes total sense.
Well, yeah, like, I just kind of played the game, and I just kind of learned the mechanics as I went.
For me, it's just like, it's just one of those games where I've tried to play it, but there's something about it intrinsically that's just, I can't be bothered.
Yeah. I understand it's not for everyone. I mean, I don't get offended or anything if someone doesn't like a game that I like. I mean, I'll try to be, if they're like, no, this game's objectively bad, I'll be like, well, it's not really objectively bad, but, that's probably it.
There's probably a game that I think everyone can agree is just garbage.
What is that?
I'm not sure. Maybe like Fallout 76.
I mean, I'll always hate that game, but...
Look, any game that's online
like
only, I think, is a universal that it's going to be bad. Like, at this point, Bethesda's just doing, like, cleanup crew on it.
Or damage control.
Damage control, you know what I mean. They're doing damage control at this point because they know that what they built was a half-baked game using an engine that was already being strained. Was it a smart idea to...
I could forgive it if at least, like, they didn't give even less of a shit about the consistency of, like, the game's world than in 4. Like, if 4 threw out the baby with the bathwater in, like, terms of story, then 76 just threw out the whole fucking house.
Yeah. At least I'll say this with 4, because I know, like, I think when it comes to Fallout games, you're like, I don't like this one. I would say...
Gameplay-wise, I think 4 is okay. Mods kind of save it, but that's it for me.
Yeah, that's effectively... I'd say, story-wise, it is very straightforward. It's essentially reverse Fallout 3. Because you're the father.
Yeah.
Like, am I even mad about it? I'm not... I can't even really be mad about Fallout 4. It's not a bad game, but I'd say...
Sequel.
It's just okay. Like
Fallout 76 is neither a good game nor a good Fallout sequel. At least Fallout 4 is a good game overall.
I think people have actually said this, and it kind of amuses me. It's like I think a few people are saying in comparison to like what they did to Skyrim, or not Skyrim, well, the Elder Scrolls Online. Fucking 76 is better just because of how bad it is.
Elder Scrolls is worse.
Apparently so, yeah.
Well, I guess if you take like stuff from Fallout 4, like literally the engine, you can only do so much worse with it.
Yeah, I mean, I will say, like, I will still have fond memories about Fallout, 4, honestly.
I wouldn't mind seeing how you receive playing 76.
Yeah, I would probably have a good time with it. I mean, the thing about me with, like, Fallout 4 is I've always perceived the game less as a Fallout game, because, yeah, of course it's going to have Fallout elements, but trying to keep it within canon, because at this point the canon's going to be liquid. It's going to be fucking, like, gelatinous at this point. Like, if you're trying to keep on to a game that's had, a decent couple of years worth of stories, and it's like, at this point, they're probably going to forget, like, 90% of that shit.
Well, yeah, I just wish it was, like...
consistent.
More where it's like they wouldn't do shit, where it's like, hey, we should just completely overhaul this thing, because it'd be cool. I hate that fucking... Let's just completely flip the series on its head because it would be cool.
A lot of the writing within Fallout 4, I have to question, like, why it feels like the Brotherhood of Steel are just kind of just there for the entire time. Like, the fact that they have become an optional sort of faction, kind of like how it was in New Vegas, realistically. Even though they are, like, they literally have a part where it's just a massive ship flying by. That seems silly.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of, like, everything getting too big in scale. Like, why do we have blimps, and like, giant fucking blimps and, like, teleportation across an entire, like, state almost? It's stupid.
I will say, like I said before, like, there is moments
artillery.
There is moments within Fallout 4 I fucking love. Like, I can say I'm a sucker for, like, base building and all that, so I can say I did enjoy that shit.
The base building was an interesting mechanic. I just wish it wasn't presented through the lens of, like, here, you have literally an entire faction behind your back now.
Yeah, the fact that it essentially was just like, yeah, that made no sense, but whatever, I guess. I mean...
Because it removes that kind of feel of, like, struggle through, like, a wasteland.
Yeah.
I mean, I get that it's, like, 200 years later, but it's an entirely different region. You could have had the excuse, at least.
What, you want Fallout to go back to, like, its more grimier roots, like how it was in 1?
I just wanted you to be, like, a survivor of some kind, or where it's like, you aren't... Because with Nate, that guy, you're always Nate. You have... It's been... Fallout's morality and shit has been boiled down to, like, either you're good or you're evil or you're an asshole, and that's it.
Well, I mean, that realistically, the whole dialogue system being watered down to fuck, that could be pretty much blamed 100% on, whatchamacallit, Mass Effect.
Yeah, they really did copy a lot of shit from Mass Effect with that.
Because, like, Fallout 3 and New Vegas, a lot of that shit came from, like, the original games. And then, because 4, realistically, is just the most piss-water baby version of Fallout. You know? The fact that you can continuously level up is bullshit, you know? 3 in New Vegas, it had a finite limit.
Yeah, I get that they were trying to go for, like, oh, we should just have the player have absolute, like, you know, just be able to get whatever they want, but it's like, well, you give them an extra power, you remove an RP, like, role-playing ability.
Like,
and thus you remove the replayability of the game.
That's kind of one of the reasons why, like, I did 2 saves of that game separately. Unmodded and with mods, honestly. Like, even without mods, I would say Fallout 4, it's not a perfect game, and I will fully admit to that, but I still enjoy that game.
It's enjoyable, it's just, for me, without the quality of life shit that mods can bring, it's just like, why do I even bother? Like, it just feels like a time sink, and I don't enjoy that anymore.
I don't know, I'd say I've played, like, if we're talking, like, shooters, or we're talking any sort of game, I would say I've had moments like that with other games, like Final Fantasy 1, perfect example. Because for some goddamn reason, I told myself, yeah, I'm gonna beat that. And then I'll get to one of the good ones, but I never did.
Yeah.
I really should try to beat that game.
Where the hell did we go?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, now I remember. But yeah, hopefully E3 is going to be good this year.
There'll probably be at least one thing we'll probably be excited for, I would think. Especially after not having E3 last year.
I'm curious what the next Smash character is going to be, but really at this point, like, you know, this is a little sad to think about, but like, at this point, my hype for Smash has essentially been boiled down to nothing. Yeah, it's like waiting for a kettle, like a pot to boil water, but you forgot it. So it just turns into ash, right? You just burn through the whole bottom of the pot.
Everyone that's not from Japan or a weeb is just waiting for some kind of acknowledgement for, like, Western gaming.
At this point, I'm not even gonna bother with that sort of, like, false idea, because at this point, everything's already predetermined when it comes to Smash. Like, it's gonna be probably some anime character or some character from an Atlas game or some shit, something that, you know, some people want. Because Western gaming is just dead at this point.
But it wasn't before. It's like,
yeah, it wasn't
still
before.
Fan bases from, like, older games that kind of deserve some acknowledgement.
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, at this point, it's like, what games would it, like, a company get at this point that aren't Japanese?
What?
What characters are we gonna get at this point? Because, like,
well, I mean, we probably won't get any, but if there were, anyone could tell you a whole laundry list of characters they'd like that aren't from Japan.